So she's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud, when you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay grade.
The curtain is finally falling and the truth about Hollywood's favorite nipple princess is coming out, and Megyn Kelly, oh, she's loving every second of it. For years Blake Lively has built an image of the perfect Hollywood sweetheart, but behind the scenes she's been pulling rings, pressuring people and making life miserable for anyone who didn't bow down to her.
I think it's about being upfront about like knowing what you actually need versus just like trying to get the job and then, you know, once you're in it, sort of revealing the scope of your sort of...
Megyn just unearthed a damning past interview where Blake actually boasted about the things she's been doing behind the scenes.
But it certainly doesn't support her narrative that he was this evil, brutal bully. And poor little meek, powerless Blake just had to deal with his aggressive advances. That's just so obviously a lie at this point. Like, I don't know. She's made herself into Amber Heard. We all see it. This was a massive disaster for her to unleash this PR campaign against him, which, by the way, Brian Friedman told us she started. She was the one through her PR agent who was dropping negative stories about Justin, not the other way around. She played with fire, and now she got burned. This isn't going to end well for you, Blake. Sorry.
Megyn recently discovered an old interview where Blake openly bragged about the things she's been doing behind the scenes.
Blake Lively may have a history of not being upfront when she gets cast in a movie of her secret desires to actually play a much bigger role than that of lead actress. Here she is at the 2022 Forbes Power Women's Summit.
I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that like that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do.
She's absolutely ruined her brand. She has started a fight she cannot win. She does appear like an Amber Heard to me. I have yet to see one of her complaints borne out. In fact, all of the ones I've seen have been undermined by his hardcore proof in text messaging and so on that puts a totally different light on her horrific allegations. She's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud, when you pretend you want to do the one thing and you'll do the thing they're hiring you for, but all along you have secret plans to do something very, very different that's above your pay grade. And she finally bumped into someone who was weak enough and not famous enough to stop her, right? This Justin Baldoni, most people had never even heard of him. He'd been in like one series. He certainly wasn't at Ryan Reynolds level fame, never mind Blake Lively. And she bullied him into giving her the movie where she did her own cut. They released the cut of the movie. He didn't even get to see it. He was the director of the film, the producer of the film, the guy who got the rights to the film, the one who's supposed to be in control. He didn't even get to see it. He was in the basement at his own movie premiere. And then she had the nerve, because she had like 2 minutes of bad publicity when the film hit, to come out and try to blame it all on him. None of it was just due to the fact that she seems like a rather person.
Megyn Kelly has just uncovered an old interview with Blake Lively that completely changes the game. It turns out, Blake wasn't even trying to hide her shady actions, she was actually bragging about them. Now that the proof is out, Megyn isn't holding back. Let's dive into the details.
They started this movie, It Ends With Us, about domestic violence. It was his movie that he bought the rights for from the woman who wrote the book, Colleen Hoover. Then he managed to convince Blake Lively to star in it with him, and all hell broke loose. She claims he's her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her, and he claims none of that is true. There was absolutely no Those are made up claims. She wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made up, out of context complaints when he pushed back even in the mildest way, and that she and her husband are bullies. And now it's resulted in vicious cross litigations against both of them. The New York Times is being sued for defamation by Baldoni through his lawyer, Brian Friedman, who's also my attorney, who's been on the show. And it's as vicious as it can get in Hollywood. She is accused of having turned the whole cast of It Ends With Us against Justin. By the time they premiered the movie, Ryan Reynolds had unfollowed him on Insta, so had Blake, so had the rest of the cast. Now you tell me, if you're an unknown actor in this film and you know that Blake and Ryan have turned on the no-name Justin Baldoni, who are you going to follow? You know, these are weak, feckless people out in Hollywood. They have no spine. So of course they all unfollowed him and chose Team Blake, including, by the way, Colleen Hoover, the one who really owed him a debt of gratitude because he bought the rights to her book. She went Team Blake. Well, guess what she just did this week? She scrubbed all of her social media of Blake Lively. She'd already stepped away from Justin. Now she's scrubbed all of her social media from Blake Lively because I think she's starting to realize she made a mistake.
Megyn isn't just calling out Blake's diva behavior, she's revealing something much more significant. It turns out Blake didn't just ride on her Meepo baby status, she carefully planned her rise, leaving others behind in the process. With this old footage resurfacing, we're finally getting a rare look at how she really works behind the scenes.
There are moments, it's just as important to say, okay, I believe in this, and that's why I'm standing up for it, and that's why I'm not being difficult. And then there are other moments to go like, am I the asshole in the room? Like, what is happening here?
Megyn isn't just exposing Blake's diva behavior, she's uncovering something far more important. Blake didn't just rely on her Meepo baby status, she carefully crafted her rise, stepping on others.
A 2009 Glamour UK interview by Blake Lively. She was on the cover at the time, and in her interview, she admitted to trying to poison the cast of Gossip Girl, which is where she made her name, against her co-star Penn Badgley, who played her love interest, Dan Humphrey, on the show. She said, at first I was so upset that they had hired him, I actually poisoned the whole cast against him. And she goes on to say, but then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually a nice, charming person, and almost immediately I realized it too. But it took me about a week to admit it. And here's the thing. Reports were that Blake Lively and Leighton Meester, who played best friends on that show, were not friends during the 6th season run of the show. Leighton Meester and Penn Badgley and other Gossip Girl co-stars have remained silent in the wake of the Baldoni legal drama. Neither Meester nor Badgley follow Lively on Instagram.
See what I mean? And if you thought that was bad, get ready because Megyn Kelly dug even deeper. It turns out Blake actually admitted to stirring up trouble on the Gossip Girl set, all because she wasn't happy with how things were going with another actor.
Justin and his team promised to start releasing all of his correspondence with her. They're saying, we'll be an open book. This is not a nice person. And Justin bent over backwards to accommodate her many, many demands, which included, according to him, taking over the film, rewriting scenes, all of which is very irregular for the co-star. That's what the producer does, maybe a director, certainly a writer, none of which she was. But they're saying she decided she wanted to take over and use the power of her fame and name and that of her husband, Ryan Reynolds, to bully Justin Baldoni into the fetal position. And this has been released now, according to TMZ. They're sourcing Justin, saying he's following through on his vow to release all his communications with Blake Lively, revealing a nearly 7-minute apology he sent her at 2 a.m. while they were working on the film It Ends With Us.
Hey, Blake. It is 2 in the morning. Hopefully this does not wake you up. I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank. And I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short. And you worked really hard on that. And the way you framed it and how that made you feel, I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me. That takes a lot of trust and vulnerability and damn right you got great friends if that's how you felt and they knew that. And we should all have friends like that, aside from the fact
we think
that
that's Taylor Swift, though we don't know for sure.
The three of you guys together is unbelievable. Talk about energy and just to force all three of you. But I just wanted you to know that I didn't need that, because it's really good and it's going to make the movie sing like you said, and I'm excited to go through the whole movie with you. I'm just excited to spend time with you. I'm excited to be in your sphere and your presence, and for us to share creative juices together, although that sounds terrible. I think you and I have been trying to build a relationship, which I think we've done successfully. I mean, here we are talking like this, me into my phone at 2 a.m, but there's nothing more exciting to me like that I get to work with Blake Lively and have her, all of her. Anyways, I have so much more to say. I'm going to stop rambling because Jesus Christ, it's been 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So me. I'm sorry.
But it certainly doesn't support her narrative that he was this evil, brutal bully. And poor little meek, powerless Blake just had to deal with his aggressive advances. That's just so obviously a lie at this point. Like, I don't know. She's made herself into Amber Heard. We all see it. This was a massive disaster for her to unleash this PR campaign against him, which, by the way, Brian Friedman told us she started. She was the one through her PR agent who was dropping negative stories about Justin, not the other way around. She played with fire, and now she got burned. This isn't going to end well for you, Blake. Sorry.
There's a clear pattern here. How does Blake get to openly admit to all this and never face any consequences? And let's not overlook the proof Megyn brought forward: emails, messages.
I'll just, give you, a couple of examples. In April and May of 2024, when Blake Lively got her own cut of the movie, Justin said, in a text message to his editors, the editors and director isn't allowed to look at an actress cut. Got it. Well, here we go. We will keep taking the high road. Even when Justin Baldoni's his version, his cut of the film, the Baldoni cut, I'll call it, scored significantly higher than Blake Lively's cut. And still Blake Lively's cut was the one that was chosen. He still didn't do anything publicly about that. And that was the one chosen, because of the threats made by Blake Lively. In fact, we have a source that tells us that some of the cut that she had has some of Baldoni's version in it. I mean, in June of 2024, Blake Lively took over the marketing for the film. Again, there's nothing nothing negative in the press or anything else like that. And Justin just wants to take the high road. Blake is in June of 2024. Blake's cut is chosen to be shown at Book Bonanza, and Justin and his editing team haven't even seen it. I mean, they haven't even seen it, and that's in a text message that they're not allowed to. Justin is shut out. He's giving notes as a studio, not as a director. He has not seen the locked cut of the film in July of 2024. And in August 5th of 2024, Justin invites the editors to the premiere, but they can't be in the same room with Blake. Justin replies, "We won't be in the same room. I was asked not to even come to the premiere." And the editors say, "It would be very hard for me to sit and watch the final film for the first time at the premiere." And Justin replies, "Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it either." And, that's when you get to, the voice note. And even in September of 2024, without criticizing Blake at all, he says to the editors, "One day we'll finish our cut together. I would, of course, love to show the world the beautiful version we did." And he says in September of 2024, the purpose of the movie, the amount of women who feel seen. That's why we did this. and it worked.
Oh, and let's not pretend Ryan Reynolds is some innocent bystander in all of this. He's been right in the middle, pulling strings, and backing Blake behind the scenes. And guess what?
He was involved in this to some extent. There was a meeting at their apartment at which you allege that there were some senior production people who witnessed him allegedly berate Justin Baldoni to the point where these third parties felt upset that they didn't do more to stand up for Justin, that they thought Ryan Reynolds was so abusive. I think he would say, I was standing up for my wife who'd been by this guy and so on. But what role did he have in all of this?
Well, arguably, for the first time at the premiere, you find out that Blake Lively tells people that all of a sudden he wrote a scene in the movie. I mean, shocking everybody, shocking Sony, shocking the production staff. It's the first time they're hearing it. And, Justin handles that really, really well and doesn't want to say she's a liar, or doesn't want to say that's inappropriate, or doesn't want to say that's part of someone else's job. And he treats her very well about that. But what Ryan Reynolds, has seemingly done, right, is used his power and influence to not only help Blake Lively take over this movie, but he's used it, on Deadpool, and to make fun of Justin Baldoni.
Do you think that's what he did? We have a clip where his character Deadpool, which is very popular in this movie, acts more like the Justin Baldoni that I said turned me off with the I'm against toxic masculinity. And there's a question about whether he was taking a shot at Justin. Here's the clip.
Sorry about that. Come here, girl. Who are you? Oh, I'm Deadpool. And I guess you're a Deadpool too. But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell. I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a feminist. Right.
What do you make of that?
What I make of that is that if your wife is, you don't make fun of Justin Baldoni. You don't make fun of the situation. You take it very seriously. You file HR complaints. You raise the issue, and you follow a legal process. What you don't do is mock the person and turn it into a joke. There's no question it relates to Justin. I mean, anybody that can watch that, the hair bun, the comment about the pregnancy. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
And it wasn't the first time. And then we saw a bunch of videos. Here it is with that clip with reporter Kirsty Flaw.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And working in
Everyone
digital.
wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
Yeah, it's not just the women that have the clothes. I feel like the women get the conversation.
So there she was upset about being asked about the clothing. But here's Blake Lively in a different interview with People magazine talking about her clothing in this particular movie. That exchange with Kirsty was not about this particular movie. But here she is totally fine with talking about wardrobe in SOT 15.
I just really loved those patchwork jeans that you have.
Magnolia Pearl.
Oh, yeah.
Those are my real life jeans.
Yeah, a lot of that is your stuff.
The boots were mine.
I love those
there's these great Louboutins that are also a close-up on them when we're dancing in the bar. Those are mine. I have a few of my husband's shirts and socks randomly in the movie. I have some of Gigi Hadid's sweaters in the movie. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of my stuff.
So the reason I'm showing this to the audience is that people started noticing that Blake seemed sort of bullyish to this person who has far less power and stature in the industry than Blake does. And why did she do that? It was when a woman's 8 months pregnant, it is not abnormal to acknowledge it in an interview in a fun way, but she didn't seem to take well to it. And Flaw responded afterwards saying that this whole thing got, publicized, your lawsuit, saying she is in no way connected to any attempt to smear Blake Lively. She doesn't know the PR people involved in this, and she said as follows: I'm a journalist. This is what I do for a living. I would never accept money to jeopardize my integrity. I posted the video after I saw the movie, which I didn't like. I had a bad experience with Blake Lively. At the time, I kind of had enough of Hollywood. I wasn't afraid of being canceled anymore, so I posted the video. So that one, which I think is the most famous example, Brian, the journalist herself is saying she had absolutely no connection to Justin Baldoni or these PR agents that we've been discussing. And is that basically your point? That, would you say the vast majority, most, all of the negative press generated about Blake in the summer did not actually originate with this PR team?
I would say all of it did not generate with this PR team. I mean, since I've been involved in this case, I've gotten 50 either texts or emails or, things to my firm's website, more than 50 actually, about this was my experience with Blake Lively.
Now let's talk about the big moment Blake is desperately trying to erase. Megyn just broke it all down. Blake claimed this moment was so traumatic she had to take legal action. But funny enough, she didn't seem...
One of the key allegations in her complaint against Justin Baldoni was as follows, okay, from paragraph 48 of her complaint. She writes, on another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Ms. Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Ms. Lively out of character as himself. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck as he said, "It smells so good." None of this was remotely in character or based on any dialogue in the script, and nothing needed to be said because, again, there was no sound. Mr. Baldoni was caressing Ms. Lively with his mouth in a way that had nothing to do with their roles. When Ms. Lively later objected to this behavior, Mr. Baldoni's response was, "I'm not even attracted to you." Well, guess what? TMZ has gotten its hands on that video, and you can hear Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni interacting as themselves, knowing that this is all on video and that this is going to be used to create this dance scene, and no such moment is shown. Just watch it. Watch it.
Oh my gosh, we don't shut up.
And Emily and I we have these moments where
staring. You just stare.
Literally we've done it for like 5 minutes. it's like, I think you would find it terrifying. It's literally
talking about your spouses.
And
when I found a sociopath.
And time stops.
Yeah.
But that's just how it's been for us from the beginning.
No, we're like, oh my god, there's
And they score again.
Again. It's like, oh my god, I forgot to tell you something else.
I think that's cute. You guys are really cute.
I think it's more than cute.
They're acting like lovers.
And my nose is so big.
I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that.
Yeah.
And then
Deal with your big nose.
just kidding.
Okay, there. Okay, so he puts his like head in her neck.
I'm not getting beard on you today.
And says, "Am I getting beard on you?"
It smells good.
Well, it's not that. It's my body makeup.
Right, and then says, "Smells good," and she says, "It's my body makeup." That's her big moment. They are playfully acting for the camera, trying to make it look like two lovers, two people in a relationship are dancing with one another. She's giggling, she's holding his hands. They are not speaking as their characters because the sound was not going to be used in the film. This is what she's done throughout. She said, he came into my trailer while I was breastfeeding. Well, then he produced the text messages showing her saying, "I'm breastfeeding, come on over." She, time and time again, she accuses him of doing something, which then when you hear the full context is an absolute nothing burger. She accused his producing partner of showing her pornography Then they produced in his lawsuit against her a picture of the alleged pornography, and it was a beautiful, artistic, absolutely non-pornographic shot of his business partner and his wife with their newborn baby in a bathtub after a bathtub birth, an at-home birth, holding one another. You can't see any body parts. You can just see that two people clearly are in a bathtub holding their baby. Just here's yet another one. She wants us to believe this is actionable, what we just witnessed there. You tell me whether that's what that looks like
Now
to you.
that Justin's team is spilling the tea like there's no tomorrow, Blake is scrambling to get a gag order. Why? Because the real story doesn't exactly paint her.
The only reason this whole thing got started before she filed the lawsuit, she just went to the California Human Rights Office, is because she clearly cooperated with the New York Times to leak the whole thing. Indeed, that's, Brian argues, the reason she went and filed the complaint with the Human Rights Division, so that she could then leak it to the Times, so she could start to rehabilitate her reputation, which got smeared because she turned out to be not a very nice person in the videos released last summer. Now that she's had her shot against him and she's severely damaged him with that New York Times piece and this complaint, which she managed to get leaked, now she wants a complete gag order. Now he needs to be shut down to protect her. This is very unfair to poor Blake. Why should Justin be able to release snippets to the media without the full context? That's what she said. That's what she did. She alleges that she's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd. And I can tell you that as somebody who's not a Hollywood actress, notwithstanding my very short stint in that cartoon Virgin. Okay, but I'm just saying, this person is not an honest broker. I believe her less than ever. I actually disbelieve her fully now. And they should not be gagged. I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have, because the truth should be out there. What does she have to fear if she's telling the truth?
And there you have it, folks. The carefully built Blake Lively image is falling apart right before our eyes. But what do you think? Is Blake finally facing the consequences of her actions, or will her Hollywood connections come to her rescue once again? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and while you're at it,